Hey, I'm Miles.
And I'm Lion.
And I'm a musician.
And I'm a visual artist.
I hit a block about 10 years ago.
And I hit my own version of a block a few years ago. And we're starting over. This podcast is where we track our creative goals, call each other out gently, and try to stay accountable in the mess of it all.
We both got upcoming projects, but we're letting go of the need to impress, to progress.
And we invite you to start over with us.
I forget what we were talking about.
We were talking about mastering and discipline, and is that where we were going?
Okay, so
energy, dopamine hits, and how the temporary pleasure, the temporary dopamine hit, whether it's video games or an orgasm in our lives, because you and I are trying to actually do something and make something happen, it's kind of getting in the way of that. Like the percentage of those activities is much greater than it should be for what we're wanting to do.
Right. And so I was talking about I was talking about video games and how they established a dopamine hit for me and removed the need for me to practice my instrument. And you were talking about how you have meditation every day, and that's your thing that allows you to set the baseline, and it's always a positive thing that you do every day. I was also thinking that once, if I had a specific time that I was doing the guitar or doing the recording or doing the piano every day, that I would essentially just level up because it's something that's happening every single day.
Yeah.
But what gets in the way though is the energy that the rest of life takes from me, in terms of once I get off work, after I get home, I get off work, I get home, and then I'm like, ugh, what energy do I have left, and what do I want to give that to?
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually I don't have the mental fortitude to be okay, let's pick up this guitar and play with pentatonic scales right now. And it's usually my default is to go to something that's mindless.
Yeah.
And, it's easier to pull down your pants and jerk off than it is to put your mind into something and start sketching, for example. So I think there was something else that I wanted to touch on, but I think it'll come back to me. But other than my penis.
Yeah. It's so.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That's good. What's funny about what you just said, and then you referenced my meditation, is this style of meditation that I do. The main thing that it gives you is energy.
Okay.
From 20 minutes of meditation. There's an esoteric sort of possible transcendental element to it, which is I'm skeptical of, right? I'm not sold on the elements of unprovability that it might tout. But the thing that it does do, because the practice is, it's mantra driven, you literally are doing nothing. Your body. So if you just do nothing for 20 minutes, your body does get rest, right?
Yeah.
So that's what's happening, but it's in a structure so that it's not going to turn into a nap that lasts for too long, or that it's useless and you're just sitting there frustrated because you're doing a thing in your head with a mantra that sort of clears out and has the ability to when you think of a thing, you're oh, I'm thinking of a thing, move that thing out. Oh, I'm moving, you know what I mean? And you just kind of you do this, you do the same thing over and over and over again consciously to kind of eliminate other activity. And so that's interesting, that the thing that I am trying to do that is a baseline so that I have energy to do these other things is what might be helpful in the scenario you painted of coming home and just kind of instead of moving to the mindless thing and just going to bed and rest, or just starting music right away. And then it's like another pile on already exhaustion.
Yeah.
It sort of like cleans the room before you start doing a new thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of
I worry. So like my current like routine is like when I get home from work, the first thing I do is usually like make myself some food. And then once I eat, it's like with the meds I take or with the things that I like put into my body currently because of the things that I deal with mentally. When I eat, my body immediately goes like 3 notches down, like just to process my food. And that's unfortunate. So like I often put off eating, which is a cycle that occurs. I put off eating because when I eat, my body has to like put out a significant amount of energy just to process my food. And my brain goes into that place of like, okay, it's food processing time. Like everybody else, stop what you're doing. We need to process this food. Okay.
It's shoveling time, boys.
And then 3 hours later, 2 or 3 hours later, it's like, okay, we're done. You can do whatever else you are doing. Like, and so it's just this weird thing that's going on right now where, you know, and that's why I think that we were talking a little bit earlier about this possibility of an autism diagnosis. For those of you who are listening, I am a bipolar person who just took a test that revealed that I am possibly
highly likely
autistic, which would either be a secondary diagnosis or, based on the ridiculous score that I got on this test, means that I was misdiagnosed as bipolar, and have been doing a lot to fight off a mental issue that isn't necessarily the right one. So
it's like being taught how to dance when you, but also being giving 2 left shoes.
Yeah.
But you overcompensated and you can dance now, but you're dancing wrong because you were given the wrong shoes.
So like someone's handing me the right shoe now. I'm going to start trying to do my dance moves and I'll be tripping all over the place. It's a thing. It's about to be a thing we're going to figure out. But also, you know, what would change if
the effect that the meds have on you.
The effects that the meds have on me.
Yeah.
And that would be astronomically different for my creative life, which means like if I'm not on sedative meds just to keep my body from freaking out, I would have a ton of brain space and energy to eat food normally, which is wild.
Dinner dates must suck for you.
Eat food normally. You know,
you're like, let's go get some drinks. But I'm hungry. I mean, you can eat.
Yeah, you can eat. I'm not that hungry.
Yeah. Like, do you avoid eating when you're out?
Sometimes. Yeah. Or not eating as much. Like I'll snack on something.
Right.
Yeah. But like, it's been this relationship thing that like, you know, like after I eat, I'm just like, or like, it's like once I eat, it's this like, you know, time clock that starts at like 30 to 45 minutes after I eat, or 20 to 35 minutes after I eat. It's
no
like
pool,
everything,
and no energy.
Everything shuts down.
Right.
So it's like, are we going to have sex or not? Cause I have a ticking time clock. And if you want the goods, you're going to have to get the goods within 20 to 30 minutes after. Also, after I take my meds, there's a time clock, 20 to 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. If you want the goods, you got to get them before, or
you have a small window,
or I can't take my meds at all because it's like it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, this
is the life of a mental health patient who takes sedative meds. It's just ridiculous. You can't. There's a whole bunch you can't do, and so that definitely plays into like what my brain is allowed to do, or what my brain allows my body to do. When I look at my instruments, my brain is like, do you want to put out that energy? because we got other shit we can do. We got other shit we need to do. Do we have the reserves to, make our fingers do this shit that you want it to do? And if I try to do it, I also notice
the work that it takes,
the work that it takes, and the dexterity that it takes, and the, like, if I want to get faster at this thing, like, I have to keep practicing, but also there is a limit. And I was watching a special comedy special, Mike Birbiglia, and he was talking about, I also take Klonopin, for those of you who either do or don't know what that does. It's a benzo, and I take it for anxiety and sleep. And Mike was talking about how long he had been on Klonopin, and he had been on Klonopin for 20 years. And I've been on Klonopin for at least 10 now. And he was talking to a doctor about how long he had been on Klonopin. The doctor was like, 20 years, that's 2 decades. And he's like, yeah. And they're like, do you have any trouble with like concentration, the speed of your thoughts, like dexterity, like how fast you can move? And he's like, yeah. And they're like, that's the side effect of being on Klonopin for a long term.
That's not your personality.
Yeah,
that's the medication.
It's the medication. And I was like, oh, like, I mean, I get it. I understand it. I understand it, like, from a concept standpoint. But like, what do I do if I don't have my Klonopin? And it made me think about my guitar and trying to like play certain things as fast as I can, and I can't do it as fast as I can. So like, there's this thing in my mind that's like, I need to get off of this medication, but I also am like terrified to get off of this medication.
Right. Which is why a possible autism diagnosis might be the off ramp that you need, that gives you a new path to trust in. Yeah. Because it's the unknown part is the scary part. Yeah. But if there's things out there, there's, coping, there's things that are for this type of autism, that whatever one you discover you have on the spectrum. Right. Because what the audience doesn't know is that you and I go way back. And I experienced what they call an acute grief response when my grandfather died very, very, very quickly. Going to go through this. And my world came out from underneath me, and I had to quickly go through a lot of hospitalizations, a lot of meds, and a lot of stuff to stabilize. And where we reached now is that I'm on a lot of meds, and I have like this cocktail of shit that I take to not freak out. And I'm afraid of having that removed because I know what it's like to be wildly unstable. Yeah. So like so there's those people out there who are like, oh, I would never take meds. Or there's these people out there who are like, I hate taking meds. I want to try being off of them. And I'm one of those people who are like, I would never like just haphazardly be like, I don't like taking these meds. Let's try living without them. Right. Like, I'm not one of those people because you don't cast the meds as the villain in your life that's oppressing you. They're the thing that helps you walk. Yeah. Like they're the crutch that helps you move. Exactly. Exactly. So like that. So the idea of someone being like, you don't need these meds is like, it's just like, it's very antithetical to how the position that the meds have had in your life. Yeah. So bringing in the autism piece is like, okay, well now this is a thing that could actually like convince me that I don't need these meds, or at least I don't need them in the configuration that they're in. Yeah. So that's actually like really affirming and really like hopeful to me as a concept. Yeah. So what else do we want to cover in this thing, man? What? Let's cover what our passions are, what the thing that we are trying to do here. Like, okay. You've alluded to your music. Yeah. I don't think I've made any allusions to what I'm working on. Yeah. So why don't you start then? That's fair. I just love that we're doing this. Yeah. So I And so I'm TLDR, right? Like I'm trying to make a comic. I want to have, by the time I die, under my belt, have been a successful, and by successful I mean just complete.
Uh-huh.
I've done the prep work, I've done the blah blah blah, and I've put out a somewhat regular comic that exists at least for a while. The backstory is that COVID hit. I almost died from it.
Mm-hmm.
Not in any sort of hospital sense, but in just my intrinsic self. I felt like I was gone. Like it was. I describe it as like the worst. It's all the negatives from bad drug trips all in one like experience. Right.
Right.
Bedridden for 2.5 weeks. Very low energy, recovering out of that 2.5 weeks. And it kind of cemented that like my purpose is to create and make stuff. Like that's, in feeling the despair of not having that, like feeling what it was like to not be creative, not have love, not have joy, not have hate. Like it was almost like it was like a pure form of apathy mixed with despair. It was the weirdest fucking thing because you know me, I'm very feeling, I'm very expressive, I'm very like my empathy sometimes overtakes me a little bit of like I'm not feeling it, but I'm feeling what you're feeling, and it's authentic to me feeling what you're feeling.
Yeah,
I can leave the room and I don't feel that anymore. Like that's where I know that it's empathy and it's not like me like internally freaking out in any way. But to say the least, I felt what it was like to be completely like cut off from a human feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I came back and I recovered, it was like this fire was renewed, and I was like, oh my God, I have to make art. And at that time, it was perler beads, right? That's what I was working on. For those who don't know, perler beads is a tiny little craft where you take these little colorful beads and you place them on a pegboard. So instead of stringing them through the holes, use the holes to place them next to each other, and you make an image kind of out of pixels, and then you melt the beads together, and then I put them in frames. Other people do different stuff with them. Yeah. And I really took to that. For the next 2 years after that, I made the most art I've ever made. Yeah. And it was really like, I felt really good about that because I was doing it also with no other direction except what I wanted to make, right. Which I had not really done because pre-COVID, I have basically been a graphic designer for hire since I was like 16 and never really been able to exercise who am I, the artist, Lion, you know? Right. And so it was, now that I look back at that, it was a formative time where I practiced just being me, right? And I discovered that I really do like making sexy imagery, sensual imagery. Like I really just take to that.
Yeah, I have one of those pieces by the name of Socks. It was a very hot piece of a lady on a bed. You can see her from behind, and she has rainbow socks on. You can just see ass cheeks and legs and a colorful rainbow socks, and it has like a kind of lighting effect with confetti beads that are in the shape of a heart above it. It is gorgeous, and it has like a luminescent beads.
It has a UV reflective quality to it, where they're every other color in this colorful stripes glows, and then like there's a heart that's hidden within the glitter beads. Yeah, and I'm so proud, and I love that you love that one because that is definitely one of my like original. Like I thought of the concept in my head and I made it happen. Whereas a lot of my pieces I'm inspired by, and I make an image of another image or a person or something like that I really like. But that one is like fucking OG.
Yeah,
like,
it's delicious.
I love it.
It's really good.
But there was one piece that is my favorite. And she's such a favorite of mine that she just kind of stuck with me. And I, at the time, right before I thought of this comics idea, I wanted to just make a series of her.
You're talking about
Lena.
Yeah.
So Lena was one of those, I saw a piece and it inspired me where there's this pixel artist, I forget his name at the moment, but it was like, big titty succubus. She had wings and different horns and black hair and different tattoos. But there's just something about it where I felt like I wanted to take that and do something with that, right? So I, using Photoshop and other things, I kind of changed her look completely, but like the tit size was the same and the eyes were the same shape, but I actually ended up changing it. So I changed a bunch of stuff and made her a new character that so for those that don't know, Miles and I both separately have deconstructed out of Christianity. And that's a whole other topic. And I'm sure if you want to look into it, you can. It's not what we're here to talk about.
Yeah.
But ever since doing that, I've sort of been fascinated with like demonic sigils and symbols, because now looking at them, I don't see them as like evil. Now it's an interesting thing of like, what are you trying to say? What are you saying when you say that this is the demonic symbol of whatever it is, right? And so for Lena, I thought of the sigil for lust. Like, what is that sigil, right? So I look it up and I make it her tattoo. Like, she has a tattoo on her arm, and it's that sigil. And because she's a very lusty looking, character, right? And then I found other sigils. I think the sigil of beauty, sigil of lines, because she's art, right? Lilith, because just a female empowerment sort of thing. And I placed these tattoos all over her body in like natural, forms and natural ways. And the reason I got her name is that the name of the demon for lust is Anil, Anael or Eal, but I think it's Ael. It's like one of those weird spellings. But if you reverse it, it's Lena. And that's it. Like, that's how I got her name. That's how it was this exploring of topics that was off limits when I was a Christian, right? And so she's kind of embodying my newer self, my newer, I think my truer self. Yeah, post-Christian truer self to who I really am, kind of thing, right? And so all that background to say, I was in the midst of thinking about her in a new series, like a new pose and blah, 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 when I started going to bikini barista stands, because I'm like, why not? Like, they're there, and I don't have any sort of like moral structure now that says don't go there. And I love Dutch bros because they're so happy. Let's give this a shot. Turns out they're just as happy and barely wearing anything, and they're comfortable and confident in that, which is so like healing to be around. Somebody who is not ashamed of any part of themselves, doesn't matter what they look like that reflects back to, I should do that. I should feel more confident about myself. You know what I mean? Like, it has a positive, net positive sort of vibe.
So I want to ask you about that, just for our listeners. How do you take the bikini barista concept and flip it on its cis male hetero misogynistic head and make it into something beautiful, like you just said? Like, what I'm trying to say is there's
a perception.
There's a reason it's out there,
right,
for creepy dudes, right?
Yeah.
And how do you take it and make it into what you just explained?
So where you're discovering that you might be and probably are autistic, I probably have some sort of diagnosis that I don't know what the name is. That's how I just see the world, and it's dumbfounded to me that others don't see it that way. Because every time I've been to a strip club now or a bikini barista thing where there's sex work involved, the feeling that I get is not, wow, that made me horny, or wow, I'm really aroused. In fact, nothing's happening downstairs in any sort of like hardening, right? What I'm experiencing is this sort of like overwriting of bad code that gives me a feeling of loving life, feeling more whole, and like just like it's a type of love, like it's a type of feeling of affection for just everything. And I don't know why that isn't more of the common like feeling that is gotten from sex workers. Because to me, it's less about the sex part, and it's more about the treating you, the human, as a holistic human, and this is a part of who you are. Right. And I never got that. Like that was a detentioned off area of life.
Sure.
Right. Getting married super young, not having any guidance on sex with my young wife. Feeling ashamed because I had learned to masturbate at a really young age and having to hide it. And I had all these things that were reasons to keep this feeling or this part of me sequestered and like in a box.
Yeah.
And so now coming out of it and then just exploring these things as I can, because they're not cheap and they shouldn't be. like I'm part of the reason I want any sort of money is to then support sex workers in general, and not only because I get something out of it, like sexually. Like,
oh yeah,
it is really like I want to really be a part of supporting this type of work.
Yeah,
because I think it has such a holistic, healthy benefit as a society.
Sure. And I just want to clarify. So I didn't put you on the hot seat just now to challenge you. I put you. What I know of you is that every experience that you've had with bikini baristas and what I've seen you do in your art and when you've talked about going to strip clubs and things like that is what you just explained, is that you feel an enchantment and a love for that community.
Yeah.
And for those women that are doing that work. I will say that is a marginalized community, and that it is an underappreciated community, and that sex work in and of itself is not a glorified career path. It's something that should be understood as a 100% viable and vital part of work. It's historically, like 100%.
The oldest profession.
But they still get treated like shit, and I appreciate the viewpoint that you have. So that's why I put that out there for our listeners, just so that you could explain that.
It's similar to where, I mean, I've heard this as in mainstream stories where, like, a prostitute or some sort of sex worker will say that, like, some guys it's just for the sex, but other people they just want someone to listen to them or talk with them or non-judgmentally touch them, and because these are all wounds that we get from growing up, or whether I don't know if it's gender specific and it's only guys, but it's people who have a lack of this part of their humanity. And there's no other way besides finding the exact right, perfect relationship, which is tough in and of itself. Where are we at? We're good. So unless you hit the lottery and you find exactly the right person, there's no really other way to address these types of mental health injuries. Mm-hmm. And so that's, in a way, it's in a tangential way, it's sort of like it's a medicine, or it's a health system thing. It's like it's a little removed, but it still addresses your overall health and with your mental health, and which affects your physical health. So that being said, I experienced this really cool type of experience at the Bikini Barista stand. And I'm thinking about Lena, and I'm thinking, well, that'd be really cool if Lena was a bikini barista, because the piece of artwork that I made of her is she's in a very, very, very tight, small bikini.
Yeah.
And for about a week and a half, I was struggling to think, how would I justify a, curly ram-horned, blue-horned, pink-haired, yellow, succubus in a real world bikini barista setting. Like I was trying to make that work, and it wasn't happening. And I wasn't having, the inspiration that I had later until either somebody else or whatever happened, where the idea of making the barista stand be in a fictional fantasy realm where her kind isn't abnormal, like us having a succubus kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then it just exploded. Like I saw it. I saw the world of the Enchanted Crossroads, and that these succubus at this stand were an anomaly amongst regular succubus or traditional succubuses, and that there was like the daily interactions, the stories that I've been hearing from real baristas were some crazy stories and like real life stuff that you're not going to hear anywhere else. Like you like, it is a very weird and not weird, but like it's a unique cross section of humanity that goes to a barista stand, because it is as naughty as you can pay sometimes, depending on the barista, or it's just a nice cup of coffee and a pretty girl. Like that's it, right?
Yeah.
And it's so it has this range of potential of interactions and moments. And I just thought back that I used to go to the library and get comic strip books. Like I would just read Garfield and Calvin and Hobbes and all these sort of Sunday comics, like newspaper-based comics. It was like 3 to 4 panel comics.
Yeah.
I thought, how cool would it be to make one of those, but it's about bikini baristas in a succubus bikini baristas in a fantasy realm where I'm creating this little world. It doesn't have to be huge. It's not a huge world building, but it's in this little microcosm of modern things like a barista stand with fantasy elements.
Yeah.
And whatnot.
Yeah. And I'll say that some of the best comic strips, like those Calvin and Hobbes, Charlie Brown, like Garfield, aren't big worlds. They're confined to like a living room, or like Calvin and Hobbes is just like there's enough
to make it feel grounded,
right?
Without it doesn't need to be talking about what's happening in the world. Like it's just
stays confined.
Yeah, and it's really telling truer stories or thoughts and feelings of humanity through a funny little lens.
So I want to take a quick minute to tell you. Said you were talking about the reason people go to strip clubs and things like that, and that sense of touch, that sense of connection, that sense of feeling that's missing, and it brought up this thought, quote that I heard from a TV show, from the show called Chef's Table that was
Jon Favreau?
Recommended to me by a friend. No,
okay,
it's a Netflix show. This guy on this show, it's a documentary series about different chefs and like their stories. This man had lost his mom when he was 5 years old, and that kind of like was the starting point for his cooking journey. And he's done all this amazing shit and so on and so forth. But he's in the interview that they were doing with him, he said, "Isn't our life one attempt to fill a void after another?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, that." Because so when you said that, it made me think like everybody is basically trying to like
fill different voids,
fill different voids, get their needs fulfilled. Like if they're not getting it from a friend or a loved one, or maybe they're really isolated, they need to get that love from somewhere, in some way, somehow, in some type of like structure of some kind, in some kind of like, the word that I'm looking for is like method, like in any kind of way that it, maybe they still feel empty when they leave, but they got something.
They tried to fill it. Like that's how like drug addiction occurs, is it's trying to fill
the attempt is there.
The attempt is there, and then it just empties out right afterwards.
Yeah. So,
and just to be clear, seeking sex work can do that with somebody where it is an empty feeling afterwards. Like, it's not necessarily that everybody has the exact same healing that comes from the experience, because everybody's blueprint of who they are is different.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just saying that it is only kind of broadcast in any sort of mainstream way in that vapid sort of emptiness.
Yeah.
That is experienced by a certain type of person versus all the other types of experiences that you don't hear about.
True. And also the mainstream informs the reality of the people that seek it.
Yeah.
You know, like we do have to address the elephant in the room that, like, the mainstream informs the patronage and the misogyny kind
of the bros and
the misogyny kind of feeds itself. And it's not a healthy environment for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, but and there has to be a lot of props that go out to the women who put themselves out there, and the men who put themselves out there.
So to that end, I am trying. What I want to do with the comic is have a little slice of a positive, affirming lens on that type of work.
Yeah.
While being funny and clever and insightful to, perspectives and opinions and whatnot.
Yeah.
But, like, in no way is it, you know what I mean? In no way is it going like, oh, this is sexy for just being sexy. This is not a sex comic. It's sensual. I like to describe it as like My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, but with big tits. Like, it's fun. It's happy. Like, it's, you know what I mean? There's interesting things that'll happen in it, but, like, for the overall vibe is that it's not a source of content that will make you go, oh no, like it's going to be a like, oh, that was cool, or it made you laugh, or it's like, oh sweet, I can't wait for the next one. Like, it's just a small little world that I want to put out there before I'm gone. Like,
So I'll take the reins here and say, go ahead and give my, like, what I'm working on.
Yes. Okay.
So I have a concept album that I have been kind of trying to put together. My little history is that I have worked on, recorded, mixed, edited 2 separate albums. One released in 2009, one released in 2015. And since then, so it's 2025 today, it's been 10 years since the last music that I put out. That's a long time. So we can call it writer's block. You can call it whatever you want. But I think what actually has happened is I've gotten really caught up in life, in managing the bipolar, and also creatively caught up in what the process actually is, as far as, like, do I record while I'm writing? Do I write separately? How do the ideas work and where do they come from? And so I remember my first album was very much like me, guitar, pad, play, write, create. Then I was like, I have to release an album. And then I started the recording process. And my second album was all about, like, write. This time when we record it, we're gonna do a different recording method with all of these, like, different trinkets and things that Apple was doing with recording in a GarageBand and recording things into, like, the actual iPhone devices. And I did that way, and then edited everything separately. And so again, the writing process and the recording process were separate. And since then, any songs and ideas that I've had, I've usually approached them from the recording process first, like writing as I record. And I think that, and then starting to, like, send out snippets and tidbits to my friends and family like yourself, being like, hey, what do you think of this? That's really gotten in the way of like the actual writing process, because I would send out works in progress before they were complete. And then you would get like this halfway sounding recording that you would go like, oh, well, it doesn't sound right. And the feedback I would get would then like inform the process. And I would get either bogged down by like, it doesn't sound right, or like, it's not good enough, or like that kind of thing. And so then I would end up in this like writer's block spot of like, it's not good enough. It's not right. It's not good enough.
The method wasn't working.
The method wasn't working.
Right.
So where we're at now is I've gone through
Hold on. I think important to where you are now is who brought you back that experience. You may not say it now, but I'm just saying that's that seer person that you.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure that that's in there, because I think that's really crucial.
Great. That's So I had an experience last year where actually what was going on. I'll go ahead and give the note. What was going on is I was experiencing a change in my medication that I did not realize was happening, because I got a kidney stone last year at the beginning of the year. Had to have surgery to get it out. But in the process of that, my main mood stabilizer changed manufacturers, and I did not notice, or decided just didn't like fix it immediately. And so for about 8 to 10 months, the manufacturer of my main mood stabilizer was different. Fast forward 10 months, and I'm in this place mentally and physically where I feel like things are kind of unraveling around me. I feel like my friendships are distant. I feel like I'm losing my footing mentally. I feel like Portland is not right for me. I feel like I'm lost in time. I feel like I'm having these really vivid dreams about being in other universes. I'm having all of this like just dissociation and confusion, and I'm feeling lost. I'm talking to my therapist about it in therapy. I'm talking to my psych doctor. We are confounded. Nobody knows what's going on. But I feel very, very much like my meds are not working. And at that point, we're contemplating putting me in the hospital to basically like start over and revamp my meds. In the process of that, I do feel like, something that's happening that's kind of ethereal and outside of time and space. I feel like I am in the wrong universe, or I am in the wrong part of reality, or I feel disconnected from reality. One of our good friends, Rachel, has a friend in New York who Rachel said has experienced the same things that I was talking to her about, and that they saw this person called a seer, who was able to shed some light on the things that they were experiencing. At that point, I was desperate, so I was like, sure, let's make an appointment with the seer. So I get on the phone with the seer. The first thing the seer says to me is, you seem like a person who thinks more with your heart than your head. And I was like, oh, really? Tell me more. Tell me more. Because it resonated with me immediately. I wasn't going to give this lady, who seemed like a psychic, any information about myself. I was like, you're going to tell me everything I need to know. I'm going to let you see if you're a seer. So she starts telling me these things about myself, which all of these things resonate in terms of how I've been feeling, what I've been dealing with. She tells me that I'm actually a person who is not really connected to Earth in terms of like, I'm other, and that's funny because this autism diagnosis is coming up right now, which I've always felt other. I've always felt,
and which
like,
is a
strange
common trait
of autistic people, is to feel other and alien. And so she tells me that, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. She also tells me that I one of the things that I did reveal is that I feel like I have no sense of purpose on this planet. I had gotten to that point because my job was just shit at the time, and I had a lot of identity wrapped into my job. And so I was like, if I'm not resonating with my job, then what am I doing here? She told me that actually my identity and who I am is more connected to what I do and what I choose to be as a creator and as an artist, and that I actually am an artistic genius, is the word that she used. And that if I gave my time and energy to that and decided to concentrate on what I want to leave the world with or leave behind in the world, then that's where my footing will be the most sound. And I tell you, when she said that to me, I was like, that is the most wonderful thing that I could be told at this time. That is the most edifying and affirming thing that I could hear. And it was kind of life changing, because I walked out of that one meeting with this woman and was just like, I know what I need to do. And from that point, I was like, I need to devote my life to my creative pursuits. I need to, whether I'm alone, with someone, otherwise, I am a creator and I need to concentrate on being a creator. And so, Lion and I have experience with being co-creators in the film world before. For reasons we both have, we're neither of us are filmmakers. But I have always had music, and at that point I was like, I need to find my musical self again. And so I started working on what is it that I want to do musically. And it became all about the process again at that point. So like, if I've been stuck musically, what do I need to be unstuck musically? And I decided that if I am a creator and my identity and who I am and what I need to leave behind is 100% wrapped into this thing of being a musician, of being a creator, of being a photographer, of being a person who does art, then I need to do that to the 100% of my ability, and not just based on feeling or emotion or osmosis, but it has to be done with skill. And from that point on, I decided I'm going to learn. I'm going to teach myself. I'm going to uh, give my will to it, and I'm going to do it with excellence. And since then, I've been training with musical theory. I've been working on technique with both piano and guitar. I've bought some new gear. I'm working on poetry and my songwriting and my lyrics. And from that point, I have decided to come up with a concept for my third album, which has no specific release date or timeline to it, because I want to let the practice of what I'm doing as a creator to mature like fine wine. I want the things to come out that need to come out through this process of learning and growing and approaching things with skill. I want to let the writing write, let the music, let the theory, until it is at a point where I feel like I am at a skill level where these things sound, feel, look, and taste better than they ever have. I want this third album to be so different from the last two projects that people are like, wow, they go to music school in between this? Like, that's the goal. I need there to be a clear marker difference between this project and the last. And
it's insane how one of the reasons we wanted to do this podcast, I think, is because how similar each of our thinking is about the projects that we're wanting to do. Because similarly, how you're approaching writing, music theory, all that kind of stuff, that's my instinct with, I want to make a comic isn't just start making the comic. It's I need to go back and relearn fundamentals. Because if I'm going to be making something that I want to make for a long time, I've done the thing where you just kind of stumble through.
Yeah.
And those projects are all left behind. Like I've moved on from those because there wasn't a good foundation that it was built on. And so my process has similarly been like, okay, go back to anatomy, go back to the fundamentals of, shape and whatnot. And then I haven't done it yet, but like, I know that like backgrounds and structure, like there's elements of art that I am weak in and that I don't want to be weak in, like, but I need to put in that time to be able to look to, so I'm jumping into future self and looking back and going, I did that. I put in the time. I learned all the things I needed to learn, and I made it happen. Like that's the feeling I want. Like that's the visualization, that's the future casting, the vision board, right? The feeling that I have about this overall project is going to look back and be very satisfied with the process that I took. The results may vary. Maybe only friends and family, support me or whatever, or into it. Maybe it doesn't get any sort of traction in any sort of media out there. Fine. But I did what I wanted to do. I did it thoroughly, and I grew as an artist, which may lead to other things that I'm not aware, like that's the great thing about pre-creatives is we can shoot for a target, and then somebody else can point out that there's these other targets that we are now in line to go after because we were going after our initial target,
right?
Which is very, like that's such a hopeful way to live, to know that you can do the thing that you're shooting for and that it opens up all these other things because you aimed for something so specific.
Yeah. And I also want to clarify that like, the album itself is not even the end goal. It's the grabbing and retaining the knowledge of an expert musician is the end goal.
Right.
Being able to expertly pick up my instrument and just noodle around on it and being able to improvise, being able to sit at the piano and just play, being able to plug in my instrument into my recording software and be like, I'm going to record this lick at 120 beats per minute, and then I'm going to mix it down to blah, blah, blah. And like just being able to do that and know that like I don't have a barrier in my way to making things sound good, or to getting to the chord that I want to play, or getting to telling this person what I need them to play to complement what I'm playing. I think those are the things that I'm after more than this is my next project. And I think music theory in and of itself can be, I mean, it's such a deep well, right? Like, so there's no timeline on
like you'll never truly be done learning music theory. Won't.
And I think
you just have more and more knowledge as you go.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think if that is a goal, there's no like, oh shit, what if I get finished with this project, what am I going to do then? Oh my God, like the end is nigh. Like there's no like, scary, like what if next.
I think the analogy of like our past projects and creative endeavors have been, short stories or books. And now you and I are both looking at, not only do we want to make our next great novel, but we are learning an entirely new language from the ground up, so that even though the novel will be worked on and hopefully done, we'll have a whole new language that we can just speak fluently and casually, and thus create even more. You know what I mean? Like it's not project, even though we both have a shell of an idea for the projects, we're tackling it in a way so that we know a new language.
Yeah.
Which just puts a fat smile on my face. Yeah. Like that's everything I ever kind of wanted as an artist to be, is to just have mastery over your things, so that as the creative juices flow out, there's no barrier. Just like you're saying, like you can just sit down and make music, and I can just visualize and create and like open up Procreate and just like bam, 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 bam. This is the thing I just had in my head, and now it exists.
Yeah.
Like it's living. I'm going to turn 42 this year. The answer to the universe and everything, and I don't feel like I have it. The answers, but I definitely feel like I have missed a lot of the buses to the school that teaches you the language.
Right.
And I'm tired of missing the bus. So
I am too. And I think that's a good place for us to say, we'll see you in the next episode. Yeah. But we're on the same page, and that's what this is about.
Yeah.
It's about watching us grow through our projects, and we'll hear more about the things that we love to do and the things that we want to do to get there, the things that we like, the things that we feel, the things that we experience, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah. And thanks for following us on our journeys.